Welcome to the PacMam podcast. Here you will find Dr. Cindy Elliser and Kat McKeever, researchers at Pacific Mammal Research, talking all about marine mammals. We will have a variety of ways to share information with you through discussing research articles and news stories, interviews with other researchers, and more. Join us to learn more about marine mammals and have some fun. Welcome to the PacMam podcast. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Kat.
And this is our last episode.
Yep.
No,
We're here.
Yeah. So we announced last time that we were going to be ending the podcast as it's been. We're running out of animals to talk about, and we're going to focus our efforts on different kinds of outreach in the future. So be sure to keep an eye on the YouTube channel and our social media for ways to get engaged with that. But you still have 4 years of podcasts to go back and listen to if you haven't heard them all already. Or even if you have, I'm sure you've forgotten it because I've forgotten what we talked about. So you can always go back and learn something new again.
Exactly.
So we want to just start off by thanking you for all your guys' support and listening to us for the last 4 years. We really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun doing the podcast, and we hope to see you on our new ventures and outreach and whatnot. So keep tabs with us and see where we're going next. But the YouTube channel will always be there, so we will be adding things there, mostly in the near future, and then beyond that, who knows? The future, you just don't know what's going to happen.
So probably the easiest way is if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, first of all, subscribe to our newsletter, but also you can keep up on what we're doing and kind of the release of some of these new things on our social media. So you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Pacific Mammal Research, all one word. So be sure to go on and follow us there, and that way you'll be able to keep up with anything new that we're producing or putting out for your consumption.
Exactly. And we're hoping just that we have some educational videos on YouTube and stuff, and we're hoping to do a few more of those and just some other fun stuff. So with that, we will do what we normally do as the normal last podcast of the year, which now also happens to be the last podcast total, is just doing a recap of the year, what we've things that we've been most excited about, or the things that we're struggled the most with, or the things that we saw in the field. Just to kind of, recap the awesomeness that was the year of 2024 for PacMam. So I'm going to start off with the elephant in the room, the fact that it's our 10-year anniversary. So
Yay!
that's cool.
Yeah, I think that in and of itself is kind of the biggest highlight of this year is the fact that we've been able to stick around and do this work for 10 years, which is pretty wild.
Pretty amazing. And it's kind of funny because I was like, oh yeah, we're having our 10-year anniversary, just like kind of nonchalantly just telling people that, and they'll be like, oh wow, that's that's a really big deal. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess it kind of is. Just like, I know it is, but it's just, I don't know. It's hearing it from other people is exciting for them to
Well, I
be.
think when you're in it, it's like we're just doing the same thing every day. So it's kind of, it's a little bit like, okay, well, this is just another year of keeping up with what we're doing. So it can be easy to forget that milestone, I guess.
Yeah. And, on top of that, I think even more impressive because none of us are doing this full time, right? We have to do other things to be able to do this part of what we want to do. And so the amount of stuff that we've been able to do with everybody working not at a full-time load on this project is pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's, I guess, dive into some of what we've done then over this year. Maybe that'd be a good place to start with a little recap of the work that we have done.
We did lots of stuff. There you go.
We did lots of stuff. There you go. And a podcast. I'm just kidding.
It was amazing. So we there's been quite a few highlights. We've continued our field work, being very consistent in that and being out in the field 2 to 3 times a week year round. We take 1 week off at Christmas, basically, the holiday time. Otherwise, we're out there pretty much, probably 2 to 4 times a week. When it's nice out, we get all the days if we can. So that in itself is just the field work is hard to do consistently for a variety of reasons. So being able to do that is pretty impressive. And so we get to see a lot of exciting things out there, and we get to write up a lot of exciting data. So one of the biggest highlights this year is, we do try to publish one or two papers a year and which we've been able to do the last almost since 2018. Um, is the harbor seals. So you may know us for harbor porpoises, right? That's our mainstay, our the our Vanna White.
Primary focus.
Yes, our primary focus. That's more formal. Our primary focus is harbor porpoises. But we also do harbor seals. It's just that we focused on the harbor porpoises for a variety of reasons. They're kind of our favorite, but we don't tell the seals that. Uh, but so we were focusing on that, trying to get the data worked up and our protocols and all that kind of stuff, and there was lots of cool things going on there. But we have been taking photos of seals since the beginning, right? It has been the focus for both species. We just haven't had the staff and bandwidth to be able to go through all the data that we have, and so we have a wonderful research assistant, Sierra, and she is our seal lady. So she's spent many an hours, days, weeks, months, visually, manually IDing all the thousands of photographs that we have of seals in our study site. And so we worked with her to have her do the first time she has first authored, it's a lot of firsts, a paper and on the harbor seal site fidelity and seasonality of the animals that we see. And so I guess the most exciting thing about that is that we see some individuals all the time. And I like to highlight one animal. His name is Curtis. And Kat will tell
Shout
you.
out to Curtis.
Yeah, Kat will tell you why Curtis is special to us.
Yeah, so back in the day, we did a kind of a push where if you donate a certain amount to support the organization, you could name an animal, which actually we're doing again.
Right
So if
now,
you want the opportunity to name an animal like Curtis, jump on that right now because you can. But at the time, my dad very generously donated and came up with the name Curtis for a seal. And at the time, if you know me, you know that I like more dramatic names. And so I was a little unimpressed with the name Curtis.
but I loved it.
But
I was like, Curtis, it's
yeah,
just
I mean,
like
it's very
cute.
cute. Very cute. But he was like, I don't really know why, but this is the name that came to mind. And we see Curtis, dear Curtis, all the time.
And I think
So,
since 2015, I think is when
mm-hmm,
we first started seeing Curtis. So,
mm-hmm.
basically 10 years, if you're counting
Yeah,
2015 to 2024. So pretty cool. So it's
yeah,
fun to be able to be like, ooh, there's Curtis, or there's Oolong, or there's, all these different ones that we know.
yeah.
So we have a few of those that are like, we have like 20-ish that are like here all the time. And then we have 20-ish that are here some of the time. And then we have a whole lot of ones that we see once. Or very little site fidelity. So it was fascinating to see that there is such individual variation in harbor seals behavior, and it's not really unexpected because pretty much everything they do is individually variable. Like how far they go, how kind of habitat do they want, how long do they, what do they eat? Like almost every behavior you can think of for the harbor seals, there's some level of individual variation in it. So shouldn't have been a surprise to us that they're all going to do their own thing. But I thought it was just really, really cool that there are some animals that just, this is their place. This is where they like to be. I can hang out here all
Mm-hmm.
the time.
And the other really neat thing, if you're not familiar with harbor seal research, one of the things that makes our study a little bit more unique is that most harbor seal ID, because there are actually quite a few different seal ID projects around the world that have been going for many, many years, but they are almost all based on seals that are hauled out on land. So they're actually taking photographs of seals when they're on a beach or when they're on a rocky shore, which is no offense to those researchers because it
Hmm.
comes with its
Great.
own set of problems, but it's a little bit easier.
Mhm.
Whereas our study is taking pictures of the animals in the water. So it's a little bit trickier. You don't have as much time to actually get those photographs as you would if the animal's hauled out. So That was one of the other really neat things about this data is that it's actually you can still do ID on these animals even when they're in the water. You just have to find a little bit of a different way to do it.
And they spend like 80% of their time in the water. So the fact that we don't really know about what they do, like we're like, oh, we know so much about harbor seals. Well, yeah, when they're hauled out on land for the 20% of the time that they are. But the rest of the time, we don't know as much about their open water behavior and site fidelity. So this was kind of a unique thing for multiple reasons. And it was really
Mhm.
exciting to finally be able to have more information out about the harbor seals that we have studied for so long and just haven't been able to talk about them as much. So
Mhm. Yeah.
um, that was pretty exciting. Um, we've done, our normal every other things. We've gone to our conference, some conferences and learned some cool stuff at um, different workshops and things like that. We missed going to the Marine Mammal Conference in November. That was in Perth, Australia. Uh, kind of sad we missed that, but it just wasn't feasible for a variety of reasons as well. So we're just jealous of all the people who got to go to Perth and see all the cool animals. We couldn't. But we got some more field time in, so we still got to see animals.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah.
I think one of the coolest things that I'm excited about from this year is being able to get out and get some eDNA samples.
Mm,
That's been very exciting. So
true.
this was a project. So eDNA, for those of you who are not familiar, is environmental DNA. So basically collecting DNA samples from a substrate of some kind. So that can be water, that can be soil, that can be snow, sand even, I
Yeah,
think.
it's like
Um,
literally anything.
Pretty much
Crazy.
anything that could contain genetic material. And by genetic material, that could be like skin cells, that could be saliva, all kinds of different things. And so we actually started this project last year. Kind of started the first iteration of it last year, but this year we've been very excited to actually get out and collect some samples, which are currently in the lab to see if they actually have
Waiting.
genetic material in them. So let's all keep our fingers crossed. You guys can send us some good vibes.
Yes, and we'd like to shout
Um,
out to the Sailor Sea School who helped us. We went out on their boat to collect the samples, and we had wonderful volunteers that joined us. It was so exciting to see the community so excited about doing this work, and they were out there to help us and see what it was like. And I gave them a good appreciation of how difficult harbor porpoises can be to study, either taking photographs or just watching them, and particularly collecting their eDNA because you have to get to where their fluke print is. You have to get up and scoop where they just dove, and that can be a bit trickier with how they erratically they like to surface. But we did get quite a few samples, and we modified our protocol from the first time around because we actually didn't get we probably had that. I'm sure there was probably porpoise DNA in there, but there wasn't enough to amplify to be able to analyze. So we had to modify our protocols a little bit, and so we're very hopeful that these samples will show us something. So I think we should know something hopefully within the month, and certainly early in the new year, if not before the holidays. So
mhm.
um, yeah, that's going to be really exciting because and we might even be able to sex individuals, which is super
Which
cool.
would be epic.
Yeah.
Because
So
harbor porpoise, for those of you who don't know, you really can't tell them apart visually
mhm.
unless you happen to see a mating attempt and can recognize which one's the male, which is very obvious during a mating attempt. Just gonna leave it there.
It's just that they're
Um,
so fast, you can't usually get the ID
yeah,
that you need when they do it.
exactly.
Yeah. But we did on that note, we did get confirm a few males this year based on mating attempts. So that's pretty
Mhm.
exciting. We did have, speaking of mating attempts, we did I've been going through our backlog of IDs and we're now up to date. And so I was matching some photos, and then we realized that a male that we saw in the field that mated with Pointer, who's if you listen to any of the podcasts, you would have heard Pointer's name. She's our photogenic, very regular animal, female. But that male mated with Pointer, and we're like, woo! And then we realized that it was this certain individual that was actually her calf from 5 years ago. So we don't know if harbor porpoises have a way of avoiding inbreeding, but we know he attempted to, so it's he the attempts happen at least once. Happened at least once. Maybe it was just him. I don't know. But that kind of information is interesting, right? Because we don't know if they do or do not. Like maybe it's just happenstance and they just mate with everything and they don't know who it is. Maybe they do. Maybe he knew it. Maybe he knew it was just practice and it didn't matter. Who
It
knows?
is, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things though with like we would never know that if we weren't doing the IDs,
Yeah.
right? That's something if we just saw it in the field, we would just be like, okay, log a mating attempt and it is what it is. Whereas that's really fascinating for
Hmm.
many reasons. And so yeah, I'll be very curious to see moving forward if we witness anything like that again,
Hmm.
or if that was kind of a one-off.
Right.
So very, very interesting.
And so on that, the other thing that's really exciting that we're working on a paper literally as we speak that we'll hopefully be putting out for review in a couple weeks, is on this the an update to our original paper showing site fidelity and group size stuff in for the population here. And so this one's exciting because, like I said, we finished all the backlog of photo ID we have, and so we're now up to date. And we now know that we have individuals who have been uh, at the study site, and we've seen them regularly. One of them we've seen since 2014. So we have 11 years of site fidelity for an individual. And and then like pointer, the other pointer and range up. So piano is the one we know for 11 years. Then piano, pointer and range up are ones that we've known since 2018. So they show 7 years of site fidelity. And so that's, as far as we know, there's no other published accounts of long-term site fidelity and not many other places in the world that are doing it, or and particularly have that kind of that amount of time. Um, and so it's pretty crazy because we don't know if they stay in one area or if they're, smaller local populations or whatnot. And this is indicating that at least some of them like to remain in a smaller area and frequent certain locations. So that was really exciting. I mean, I was just, at first we thought we had 8 years of site fidelity, and then I was looking through our catalog and I was like, wait a minute. This individual that we ID'd in 2014 is actually piano. Um, and so that was really, really exciting discovery.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's something too, where again, that kind of like, as we were saying earlier, where it's like, wow, it's kind of weird to think about 10 years, but that is the neat thing with our data set is because we've been collecting these IDs from day one.
Mhm.
Um, just been adding to it. And it's really exciting to see what kind of similar to what we found in our original paper, that there is, a decent proportion of animals that really seem to stick around this area all year round, year on year. So that comes with a lot of implications for the area that we are studying them in as well. Obviously, this is a really important area for them. So yeah, it'd be really fun to see how long we see these animals for and kind of keep tracking that over time.
Mhm. And with that too, we can start to discuss the level of lifespan, right? So the lifespan average is range is 8 to 24 years, which really means we really just don't know how long porpoises live. We know they live half at least at the most half the life of lifespan of like a dolphin species. So they are quicker, but 8 is really short. So those three females, as examples, we know that Piano was an adult when we first saw her in 2014, and because she had a calf with her, and they start giving birth around 3 to 4 years of age. So if we are conservative, she's was at least 3 when she had the calf, then she is actually 14 years old. And both pointer and range op would be at least 10 years old using that same idea. And so that by itself is we've got some older individuals here that are doing just fine. And by just fine, I mean they all had calves this year. So we
Mhm.
have, a 14-year-old and two 10-year-olds that are both having calves. Now, harbor porpoises can have calves until they die. That's why we've talked about before. Harbor porpoise females are like really the biggest, most awesome things because they can be lactating and pregnant every year of their adult life, which sounds exhausting.
Yeah, really does.
But that if they can do it into their teens, or into double digits, then maybe 8 years old as the average lifespan is not correct. And maybe it is, and 10 and 14 is really old. I don't know. But it gives us a little bit more data to be able to hone in on exactly what that means.
Mhm. And again, all of this is, of course, specific to our study site, right? So these guys are variable, again, similar to our seals, they are variable depending on where they are in the world. And so again, all of this is relative to our space, but at the same time, that's really interesting to look at for just the global population of harbor porpoises.
Yeah, just because it happens here, it probably happens somewhere else too. I mean,
Hmm.
there are quite a few that we see only once, or that we've seen only once, and so I'm sure there's that variation where there's some that just pop in and then go, nah, I don't like it here, and there's other ones that stick around. We do have calves that have stuck around for two of Piano's calves and one of Pointer's calves have stayed and come back to this area consistently. So we there is some individuals have a good level of site fidelity to this area and others don't. And then some of the ones that are intermediate, we're probably underestimating how often we see them because we don't always get pictures. We don't always get good enough pictures, and we're not out there all the time, right? They could be showing up every day at night, and we would never know. We
Yep,
could get their photos.
exactly.
So it's really interesting. And then the last thing on that round is that we have a three-generation family. So back to Piano, she had a calf Piccolo in 2017, I believe, and then Piccolo showed back up in 2023 with her own calf. And so did Piano. So Piano, the grandmother and mom both had calves the same year. But it's really neat that, think about dolphin families and like orcas and stuff, and you talk about these generations that you have, that these individuals. And so this is the first time we know that for porpoises. So harbor
Mhm.
porpoises.
Pretty
So
cool.
yeah, we've learned like that. That's been I think for me, that's been the most exciting thing is finally getting through our IDs and really getting a good idea of the kind of site fidelity that we have and what that looks like. So for example, we've seen her 124 times over the last 7 years.
Which does not surprise me.
She likes it here a lot. One time I went out and I was like, man, I haven't seen Pointy in a while. I'd really like to see her. And I got out and then she was like, here I am, and stayed there for 2 hours. Get my right side, get my left side, look at my beautiful body. Let me take my more pictures. Thank you so much.
I will say too, she's one of our very distinctive animals. So there are some animals that we have that are just like they have really great markings for us to be able to ID them on both sides, and she is
Yeah.
one of those. So that definitely helps with us knowing for sure that we're seeing her. She's one of the animals that when we're out in the field now, we can look back at the pictures real quick and go like, oh, yep, pointer's here. All right, cool,
It's
which is
her.
fun.
Yeah, it is. It's neat to be able to recognize them in the field. We
Yeah.
have a few of those individuals, which is really, really cool. And then Sierra can do that with the seals. She was like,
Hmm.
look at the camera, like, oh, there's Calypso, there's Curtis, there's um, Cheerio, whatever, all the different ones they have. She has. So it is fun to be able to identify them in the field.
Yeah.
Um, so the other exciting thing is that we do have a boat. We haven't gone in the
Mhm.
water quite yet, but it's almost there. I'd like to thank everybody who helped to donate to our fundraisers, and do have a fundraiser going on right now. You can still help us get that boat out in the water and running. But we were able to get a new boat and put a new engine on it so that we can be nice and safe out in the water. We have some things to figure out with our trailering system, but other than that, we should hopefully be out in the new year in the boat. So that has been a process that I am glad is mostly completed. Took a while as anybody with boats knows how that goes. But we're excited to be able to get out ourselves and go out and collect our eDNA with ourselves with our and just get out and see if we can get pictures from beyond. Oh, and that's the other thing. From beyond, we got a match of one of our animals down at Deception Pass.
Hmm.
A community scientist person was out on the boat and somebody tagged them. I tagged us and I think in the picture because it looked like an
Hmm.
identifiable individual. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's Raindrop. So we have the first instance of knowing they at least go that far away from our study site, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Still have to figure out exactly how far that is. on the water. Not
As
over
the porpoise swims.
as the porpoise swims, exactly. Um, so that's been pretty exciting. And then just recently, we were finally able to get a drone pilot. We have our pilot Zachary, who's awesome. He's a student at Western Washington University and has his license. And so he got out for the first time last week, and we got some really cool footage that we shared on our social media. So go check that out, and I'll probably try to splice something together for the YouTube channel as well. Um, but we're excited to get more of that. And it was really neat getting to see. He's got a polarized lens and looking from above, like how much you can
So
actually
beautiful.
see through the water, and you can see what they're doing. Like the mother and calf, we got a few seconds of a mother and calf, and they surface a couple times, and then they see the mom like going like that in the water, and then they dive down, and oh, it was just so neat to see.
Yeah. Very, very cool to get that different perspective. And this is also something that we've been kind of working on and working with for several years. And so it's really exciting to actually, have someone coming out now, hopefully a little bit more consistently than we've been able to have in the past. So stay tuned for more of those. Again, make sure you're following us on social media so you can see some of the footage from that kind of more real time because it looks amazing.
I mean, it looks like one of our friends, Joe Olson, he was like, it looks like tropical water. I'm like, I
It really
know.
does.
I was like, that is not the water that I saw sitting on the rock and looking out at it.
When we're all bundled up because it's
Right.
December here in Washington.
They're a bit cold, but if you look at the video, you're like, oh, it looks so nice and warm and lovely, and it's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, and no, it's and all of the things that we're doing, the eDNA collection, being out on a boat, having the drone, we have to have a NOAA permit, a National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, National Marine Fisheries Service. I don't know which one to use. Permit to be able to do these things. So we have that permit, which allows us to go, and that's why we had to find it. We have to have somebody who has an FAA license for the drone. So it's tough to try to find people who have that and have the time and can come out and all that thing. So we're really lucky. I'm looking forward to the next year of getting more of that kind of data. Um, so
Yeah.
that's a I think that's most of the
I
highlights
think
for
that's
the
kind of
year.
it. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
on that note, shall we talk about what we're excited about for the coming year? I feel like I'm
Yes.
gonna just blanket say like all of what we just talked about, doing more of it.
Yeah. There
There
you
we go.
go. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, right? Like the things that we've been working on trying to get going are the eDNA and the drone, and the boat, So being able to do any or all of any, hopefully all of those, but at least some of those consistently will be really exciting. I think in just the most immediate thing that I think of and being excited about is just because it's more immediate and what we can get is the drone footage.
Hmm.
Because that we can immediately look at, oh, what did we see and get some more insights into what we're viewing from the land-based site, right? What does it look like
Hmm.
when they're foraging from the pictures that we take versus what we see on the drone or something like that.
Hmm.
So that's something that's more tangible right away. The eDNA stuff is very cool, but it's going to be a while before we get data from it because we have to have enough samples to compare it with anything. Sorry, you heard a loud noise. That was my dog dropping a very large bone on the floor. You can't hold it in her mouth. Um, but it'll take a while for us to be able to use the eDNA in the way that we're expecting to. So we just have to do more of the work, the grunt work before that. Um,
Hmm.
and then I guess being out in the boat, that also getting more photos from other locations would be really exciting to see if we can match some animals.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I'm really excited about is actually getting back out on a boat consistently again and being able to expand our IDs, hopefully beyond our main study site here, and actually start to track a little bit more of where these animals are going when they're not in our study site, and even just around our immediate area. It'd be really cool to know where else are these guys hanging out. So I think that's really exciting, and then also just something that's kind of an ongoing for us, but always excited to see and work with more interns. So those of you who are regular listeners or who follow us know that we have at this point, a pretty established internship program where we offer, it's usually like undergrads or recent graduates, the opportunity to come work with us for 3 months. And so we've been building that really since about 2015. it was pretty quick after we began PacMam that we started having interest in people wanting to come out and intern with us. But that's just really fun. It's great to meet these different people from all different walks of life and kind of see them go through the learning process of discovering how cool harbor porpoises can be and also how challenging they can be to study. It's always really fun to kind of see them go through that evolution while they're out with us. So looking forward to working with more folks through that as well next year.
Yeah, I really enjoy um just kind of everything about it, like seeing their excitement and being able to help them and teach them some stuff while they're here. And then we also learn from them as well, with
Mhm.
their strengths. And it's really gratifying to see. We've had multiple interns come back and join us for some field sessions when they're back in town. Some are local, some are not. Some go off to school and then come back and are at home for a little while, and they make the time to come out and come back with us. And actually, one of them is coming out this week on Thursday with me in the field. So really excited about to see what she's been doing in school and the project that she's working on. So it's neat to be able to we we have these connections while they're here, but many times those connections continue, which is really exciting. And I love getting to be a part of that and see where these awesome people are going in the next stage of life.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Mhm.
So I guess with that, what else do we want to talk about? Or is that are we kind of there?
I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, our the struggles that we have are always the struggles that we have of just trying to get everything done that we want to get done, and with finding the funding that we need to do that and the time that we need to do that. But we have, a great team of, our staff here. We have a great team of volunteers and interns. And the interns really have been a huge part of us being able to get through more of the data
Mhm.
that we have. Like, but we're close to being able to hopefully use an AI program to help with the seals, because of a couple interns working on it, and one more recently in particular that kind of
Broke through.
broke through, made the breakthrough that we needed to move forward. Um, so that's the other exciting thing too, is like there might be some other options for that, and using that in the future for seals, and then maybe porpoises down the way. But yeah, so that's kind of been exciting and frustrating at the same time, of just the normal struggles of doing our work and keeping it going. Um, but it's all a labor of love, and we do it. We love it, and we love all of you guys for helping support us through it, because we would not be able to do it without you, at all. Like the
Mhm.
structure that we have now with our volunteering and interns and stuff, we wouldn't be able to do if we didn't have the support from the community. And we've really been excited about how much we're becoming more well known in the community, and the support that we get from local and from afar is just been so gratifying, and we just can't say thank you enough for that support.
Mhm. Yep. So again, if you want to continue to support us and stay connected with our work, like I said at the top, make sure that you are subscribed to our email. We don't spam you. We just email you typically once a month and just let you know what we've been up to.
Mhm.
Um, but that's a great way to stay connected with everything that we're doing. And then also, if you are on social media, be sure to go follow us there because we share a lot of really fun photographs from the field. We'll be sharing more and more of Zach's, beautiful footage from the drone work. And that's a great way to kind of stay up to date with everything that we're doing and be a little more closely connected to us out in the field too. So,
And join
um,
us on the socials.
yes, exactly. And again, if you are local to the Anacortes, Washington area-ish, anywhere around here, and you want to come out with us and join us for field work, you can always email us. You can go to the website and connect with us there. If you're interested in becoming a community scientist, where you can actually conduct observations from where you live for our harbor porpoises, you can also find information about that on the website as well. So there are other ways if you're a little bit more closely connected to us geographically that you can get involved as well.
Yeah, and if you're geographically close in that you're around the Salish Sea, but not geographically close in that you're like right next to Anacortes. We do have an opportunistic sighting app and a community science sighting app that you can check out on our website, and that allows you to go anytime you're on the water. If you see something, see some porpoises, you can let us know about them.
Mhm.
And we just recently had somebody on Facebook had a huge group go by there where they were looking, and were able to tell them about it, and they added to the app. And all those sightings are super helpful because we can't be everywhere, and we need all the eyes that we can get. So whether you're near or far, there are ways for you to get involved and hang out with us, either virtually or in person.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think at that point, it just leaves us to say once again, thank you all for the last 4 years of letting us share and nerd out with you. I hope you learned something. I hope it was fun. I hope you can share some fun marine mammal factoids
Hmm.
with your people. And again, like Cindy said at the top, all of these will remain on all the different podcasting channels. So you'll be able to come back and listen to this podcast whenever you want. We won't be adding new episodes, but you can definitely come revisit and re-listen to your favorite ones. I do that all the time with
Hmm.
podcasts that I like. I go back and listen to ones because I'm like, wait, I forgot about this. I got to go like relearn it. So that's all still going to be there for you.
Yeah, if you have a student that are doing a project on a certain marine mammal, you can probably find an episode about it. There you go.
Yeah,
The only thing
exactly.
is that the new research at the end of the episodes might not be quite as new at that time, but still, with the next couple of years, it'll still be fairly new. Um, but yes, please keep in touch with us stay on our socials, and we'll see you on YouTube and possible other future platforms as we develop and grow. And thank you again so much for your support. We would not be here without you. So thank you from the bottom of our porpoise hearts. And we will not talk to you next time, but we'll see you in other ways.
Happy holidays and happy new year.
Happy holidays and happy new year. Bye.
Bye.
This was brought to you by Pacific Mammal Research, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Check out our website, www.pacmam.org, that's PACMAM, to learn more about us, our research, and the educational opportunities that we provide. Also, help us continue providing fun and educational content like this by donating today. Your help is how we can continue to do our work and share it with you. Thanks!